Welcome to this interactive study guide on Alan Bennett's The History Boys. Set in 1980s Thatcherite Britain, the play explores the fundamental question, what is the true purpose of education? Through the contrasting figures of Hector, the eccentric humanist, and Irwin, the pragmatic careerist, Bennett satirises the shift towards utilitarian schooling and league tables. Over the next few minutes, we'll dissect key themes, dramatic techniques, and contextual influences to help you secure top marks in AO2 and AO3. Let's map out the key concepts. Bennett uses dramatic irony through flash forwards, so we know Hector will die and Irwin will end up in a wheelchair. This colours our interpretation of their actions. The play contrasts utilitarianism, the headmaster and Irwin's focus on results, with Hector's humanism. Brechtian alienation techniques like direct address force us to think critically. Intertextuality enriches the dialogue, while satire targets the education system. Irwin acts as a foil to Hector, and the framing device reminds us that history is retrospective. The grammar school is a microcosm of 1980s Britain. Turning to our core study notes. Hector and Irwin embody opposing educational philosophies. Hector values knowledge for its own sake, quoting poetry and literature, but his inappropriate touching of boys complicates his character. Irwin teaches the boys to be contrarian and to prioritise presentation over truth. Top-tier answers avoid labelling one as good and the other as bad. Instead, explore how Bennett uses these foils to satirise the 1980s shift towards utilitarian education, while also exposing the flaws in Hector's romanticised worldview. Now let's examine Bennett's dramatic techniques. The play uses a non-linear structure, opening with a flash forward to Irwin as a slick TV historian. This framing device reminds us that history is always interpreted from the present. Direct address, especially by scripts, breaks the fourth wall and forces us to analyse rather than just feel. Bennett also incorporates music and song, which adds emotional resonance and contrasts with the cynical tone of the exam-focused scenes. Let's work through a typical exam question. To secure top marks, structure your essay with a clear thesis. Start by stating that Bennett presents education as a clash between humanism and utilitarianism, reflecting the 1980s context. In your first paragraph, analyse Hector's approach using quotes like "all knowledge is precious" and his intertextual references, but also acknowledge his flaws. In the second, focus on Irwin's teaching of spin and contrarian angles, linking to Thatcherite values. Then consider the headmaster's obsession with league tables as satire. Conclude by arguing that Bennett critiques both extremes, warning against reducing education to mere outcomes. Watch out for common pitfalls. First, avoid simplistic readings of Hector as good and Irwin as bad. Examiners reward nuanced analysis that acknowledges both characters' complexities. Second, don't ignore the play's non-linear structure and framing device. These are central to Bennett's message about history and interpretation. Third, always integrate context. Link to 1980s Thatcherism, the rise of league tables, and the broader debate on education's purpose. Finally, use key terms like dramatic irony, satire, foil, and microcosm to show analytical sophistication. To wrap up, remember that The History Boys is a rich exploration of education's purpose. Bennett contrasts Hector's humanism with Irwin's utilitarianism, satirising the 1980s shift towards measurable outcomes. Dramatic irony from the flash-forwards colours our view of the characters. Brechtian alienation techniques force us to think critically. Intertextuality adds depth, and the grammar school serves as a microcosm of society. For top marks, avoid simplistic judgments. Analyse both characters' complexities and seamlessly integrate context and dramatic techniques. Good luck with your revision.